It may be a holiday shortened week, but there's no shortage of excitement to keep an eye out for in the markets this week. We do have some tech and retail heavyweights that are reporting this week, including Costco, Salesforce, Dell, and Footlocker. We'll also be getting reports from heavily shorted names like Kohl's and C3AI, along with retail chains like Nordstrom, American Eagle, Abercrombie and Fitch, and the Gap. A few economic data prints on the docket as well, including the PCE price index and advanced retail and wholesale inventories. Let's dive into the week ahead. No earnings or economic data to watch out for in this holiday Monday. Enjoy your long weekend. We're kicking the trading week off with some earnings on Tuesday before the open, including NanoX Imaging. NanoX, which is a short float of 12.7%, is one of a host of AI-based companies that NVIDIA disclosed an investment in as of mid-February 2024. For that reason, this report could get very interesting. Big morning for Chinese ADR earnings as well. Futu Holdings, Baozun, and Hello Group are all set to report. Quite a few numbers to digest throughout the day, starting with the S&P Case-Shiller House Price Index at 9 a.m. and the CB Consumer Confidence Print at 10 a.m. We'll get the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index coming through at 10:30, followed by a series of auctions. We're starting with the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming through at 11:30, while the 2-year and 5-year note auctions are going to come out at 1 p.m. Also dropping at 1 p.m. is the U.S. money supply. A handful of companies are set to report after the bell, including Mediterranean restaurant brand Cava Group, which is a 10.5% short float. Cava beat revenue estimates last quarter and posted quarterly earnings of 2 cents per share, well above their loss of over $13 per share from the previous year. A couple of earnings dropping before the market opens on Wednesday. Abercrombie and Fitch should definitely be one to watch out for here. The stock, which has a 9.3% short float, has been on a steady incline over the last few months, up from around $25 this time last year to well over $100. The retail chain beat earnings per share and sales estimate last quarter and projected higher than expected revenue for fiscal 2024. Keep an eye on Chewy here as well. This one has a short float of around 18% and posted a surprise profit during its last report. The online pet food retailer guided higher net sales than expected for fiscal 2024, but its net sales projection of $2.84 to $2.86 billion for Q1 missed the estimated $2.89 billion. Let's see how the report stacks up. Another retailer reporting before the bell is Dick's Sporting Goods. Some economic data coming through right after the bell. At 10 a.m., we'll get the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, Shipments Index, and Services Index for May, followed by the Dallas Fed Services Index at 10:30 a.m. Then we'll get another series of auctions throughout the midday. The 2-year FRN auction and 17-week bill auction at 11 a.m. and the 7-year note auction coming through at 1 p.m. Fed's Williams speaks at 1:45 and the Fed's Beige Book will come out at 2 p.m. A plethora of earnings on the docket after the bell on Wednesday. But the biggest one here is probably going to be Salesforce. The software giant took a bit of a hit after providing lower than expected revenue forecast for fiscal 2025, but the rest of the report was pretty stellar. They did exceed revenue and EPS expectations and announced a 40-cent quarterly dividend. Watch out for their quarterly revenue. Analysts are expecting $9.14 billion, and the company guided between $9.12 and $9.17 billion. Another tech-related earnings name on watch tonight is going to be HP, which is coming off a sales miss and inline earnings per share print in its last quarter. The lower end of their EPS projections for both fiscal Q2 and fiscal 2024 came in below estimates, so that metric could be one to keep an eye on. The company has received positive analyst notes from Barclays and BofA Securities leading up to this report, with Barclays upgrading the stock to equal weight. Watch out for C3AI earnings as well. This one has a 31% short float. Lots of other earnings to keep eyes on Wednesday night, including software names like UiPath and Okta, diagnostic company Agilent, and retail heavyweight American Eagle. Yet another round of retail earnings to get things started on Thursday, including Dollar General, Best Buy, Birkenstock, Footlocker, and Kohl's. Footlocker traded lower after its last report, where it beat revenue and EPS expectations but guided annual earnings per share between $1.50 and $1.70 compared to the estimate of $1.93. With a short float of 11.5%, this could be an interesting name to watch. Kohl's has an even larger short float, just under 33%, and it popped in mid-May when the meme stock resurgence began. The company posted an earnings per share and revenue beat during its last report, and it's expected to report $3.55 billion in revenue for Q1 2024. Though the lower end of its earnings per share guidance for fiscal 2024, $2.10 to $2.70, missed the consensus estimate of $2.47. One non-retail name to keep an eye out for is Canopy Growth Corp, which benefited from the recent rally in cannabis stocks. Watch out to see if this name moves after its report, where it's expected to post $52.71 million in revenue. We'll get the revised GDP for Q1 2024 right at 8:30. The market moved to the downside in the last GDP print, which came in quite a bit lower than expected, 1.6% compared to the estimate of 2.5%. Given the way that market participants and Fed speakers reacted to that last move, this number is definitely one to be aware of. Some other numbers dropping at 8:30 as well. We'll get advanced retail and wholesale inventories for April, the advanced U.S. trade balance in goods, and initial jobless claims. At 10 a.m., we'll get the month-over-month change in pending home sales for April, and we'll get the EIA crude oil and gasoline stock changes coming in at 11 a.m. The 4-week and 8-week bill auctions are scheduled for 11:30 a.m., and we'll get the 15 and 30-year mortgage rates coming through right at 12 p.m. Fitzwilliams is scheduled to speak shortly after at 12:05 p.m. Another slew of earnings names tonight across a variety of sectors, especially retail and tech. Costco kicking off the list here. They beat on earnings per share last quarter, but revenue of $58.44 billion fell short of the $59.16 billion estimate. Analysts are looking for $57.34 billion in revenue from this report, and comparable sales could be a metric to watch out for as well. They rose 5.6% on an annual basis last quarter and 4.3% in the US alone. Other retail names to look out for this evening include a beauty company, Ulta Beauty, and clothing heavyweights The Gap and Nordstrom. Nordstrom could be an interesting one. The company confirmed that its CEO and president were looking to go private, and buyout firm Sycamore is reportedly interested in a deal. On the tech side of things, we'll get earnings from Dell, which popped 15% after beating expectations and raising its annual dividend during its last report. Citigroup hiked their price target from the stock from $125 to $170 leading up to these earnings, citing AI strength and potential market share expansion. The stock has already jumped roughly 90% so far this year. Let's see how it reacts to this report. Quite a few other tech and software names reporting after the bell. Cybersecurity companies Zscaler and SentinelOne, chipmaker Marvell, cloud computing name PagerDuty, and database platform MongoDB. Ending the week with a bang, with the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the PCE price index, at 8:30 a.m. on Friday. Personal consumption expenditures rose 2.8% on a year-over-year basis in March, slightly above the 2.7% estimate. Given the emphasis on data dependency of the FOMC during recent Fed comments, this number will absolutely be on watch. Also coming through at 8:30 a.m. are the personal income and personal spending prints. Last month, personal spending rose 0.8% compared to the 0.5% rise in personal income. One more economic data release to watch out for this week, the Chicago PMI for May, which came in at 37.9% last month. And that's the week ahead. Tune in with us at 8:30 a.m. Monday to Friday at tradertv.live.